here we are. We're going to do the bat watching. So 6:30 to 9:30 for Halloween. We're looking for bats, real bats. Here's the moon. Oh, look at the reservoir. Oh, pretty. Oh, look at it, black swan flying. Oh, so pretty.
White wings.
Yeah, the end of the tip is white. This one? No, this one just going to swim. Oh, that's nice. This is a bat trap set by Rob, the expert. Wow, that's so special. There's already a bat?
The bat is inside?
Yes, sometimes they're inside there. But if they used to roost in there and stay in there. But when they're not there, they still go there to feed because there's lots of insects in there.
Oh, yeah.
So they like flying in.
Yeah.
They're called a harp trap. Does anyone want to have a guess why they're called a harp trap?
Strings.
So yes, that's correct. The strings. Don't pull on it. Don't pull on it. So you can see there, that's fishing line that's running vertically down there, and it's very fine. It's 6 pound fishing line. So there we go. We've caught them off. That's a good start.
Oh.
So the line's really quite fine. I think it's 0.16 millimetres or something like that. So it's really, really fine because bats echolocate. So they use their voice to actually pick up reflections. You okay? So what happens is bats are using their echolocation to fly around and they're navigating. But first thing of the night, they're sort of lazy. So if they're in a roost like this, they know that they fly out, 7 nights a week, weather permitting. They'll fly out and there's no obstacle there. So they don't use their echolocation, they just fly out. So by doing this here, we're trying to interrupt them when they least expect it, that there's this trap here. So what happens is there's 3 banks of line there. So the first one virtually disables the flight, and then the second one is the one that actually does predominantly the capture. So they hit that, it doesn't hurt them because the fishing line flexes, and then they slide down and drop into the bag into the bottom there. And it's a bit hard to see from up here, but there's a plastic sleeve there. So they climb up the canvas and then there's a plastic sleeve and they get to the top and they can't get out. So once they're in there, they're in there. They stay there until I come along, pull them out, process them and then release them again. Now you asked me a really good question when we're walking down.
Don't pull, don't
Bait.
pull.
Yeah. So we don't use bait as such, but see that little black box that I've got on there? That's a little electronic device that simulates a bat call, and it simulates the feeding buzz. So the bats are flying around, they hear this noise and think, oh hang on, there's a bit of action over there, there's feeding buzzes. So they come to investigate where all this noise is coming from, the feeding buzz, and as they're flying up, they fly into our trap. So we've done studies with it and it shows that if I just left the trap there, it's less likely to catch as many bats as when you do have it there. But as I say, I came earlier when I set this up. There's no actual bats roosting in there at the moment, but they still use it for foraging because all the insects are concentrated in there. So it's a great spot for them. They don't have to be flying out here as much. They can fly in there and pick up the insects as they go. So we've got 2 species of bats then. There used to be a sign, I don't know if it's still, oh yeah, there's a sign there talking about which bat it is. That sign's incorrect. The sign says they're a southern bentwing bat. That's in here, it's not, it's an eastern bentwing bat. And there's another bat called a large-footed myotis bat, which also roosts in here as well. When they did all this remedial work here, the bat activity's really dropped off a lot. So, no, they don't eat vegetables. They're not healthy like us eating vegetables. These little bats, they're called insectivorous bats, so they only eat insects, these bats here. And they'll eat up to 2/3 of their body weight a night. So they're, typically these bats that are in here are about 8 to 12 grams. So they're doing a lot of good work. The eastern bentwing bat, typically you get them in large numbers in caves and mine shafts. You can have thousands of them roosting in the one site. So you imagine them coming out of the night time, how much insect activity that we get.
So
Now,
they do they roost together? Or
they do.
Some of the microbats are solitary.
Yeah. Like I used to be able to come along here. I used to call in when I was going up to Kinglake, and I would come and check. And sometimes you get 2 or 3, and typically they like hanging in together and using each other's body warmth. And then you can get 60 or 70 of them, and they're all sort of bunched up together, just sort of to keep their temperatures all within the margins that they need to be. This bat trap here, the first bat trap was made in the late 50s, and it was a single bank. This one's got 3 banks aligned to improve the capture rates. The first one was single bank, and they used piano wire. So you can imagine a bat hitting that causes a lot of damage because there's no giving up piano wire. And then over time they went to fishing wire. So out of all the trapping methods that you do for all the different fauna, not just bats, this has the lowest injury rate of any capture method. So typically if there's a death, it's operator handler handle issue that they didn't check the bag properly when they packed up. And at times rats as well. If they climb along there and go down, there's been examples where rats have got into bags and actually predated on microbats as well. And then up in Northern Territory, quolls, which is a marsupial predator up there, it's like a big cat. They've been known to jump into bags as well and help themselves to a food.
But this microbat is very tiny, like a little mouse.
Yeah, if we get one tonight, they're one of the bigger winged ones,
Okay.
like that. But the little forest bat is like that. So everyone here has probably seen a forest bat at some stage and just
I
thought it's a
have.
moth.
We have it at home back in Fiji.
Yeah.
We have a lot of
Like
microbat.
bats, yeah. But you probably just think, oh yeah, it's just a moth. So a little forest bat weighs around about 3 or 4 grams, which is a teaspoon of water. So that's how light they are. And then up in Northern Australia, there's a thing called a ghost bat. It's called a microbat, but it's got a
Big
wingspan
one, yeah.
like that. And that predates on small birds, other bats, little malmunis on the ground, and they take their prey. They've got big teeth. They bite them behind the back of the neck and then take them back to their roost and go back in. They're a cave roosting as well. So researchers can go into a cave or a mine shaft and see what they've been feeding on because all the body parts are left in the one spot. So it's like a bit like a feeding table, for want of a better word, a bit like the Ricali. So that's what a bat trap is. So that one I built myself because they were really expensive to buy, and I used to like tinkering at home in the garage. So I built quite a few of these for myself.
If you trap a bat tonight, like you said, you will come back and release it so they can stay
Yes.
longer as much.
Yes.
Okay.
So with these ones, and I'll show you when we have the talk later, I put a little band on their arm, a little
to mark
aluminium band,
Yeah.
and because these bats go into caves and mines,
Yeah.
other researchers, if they can be at a cave or a mine, they might catch my bat,
Ah,
and it's got a little ring on it, and it's got a code on it that identifies me as the person who banded it, and it goes up to the Commonwealth Government, and there's a database there so people can go, oh, I've caught this bat with a band on it.
yeah.
Oh, how old is it? When was it caught? Where was it caught originally? So these bats here, the eastern bentwing bat, like they're here through, this is about as far as they go west, is it here? But they fly down to East Gippsland. The females fly down to East Gippsland to give birth. There's a birthing cave there. So that's 300 odd kilometres away, but they fly down there.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's head back. It's sort of starting to get a little bit dark now, and It flew out, did it?
Yeah.
It got away.
Because
That would
it
have been
doesn't
better.
take too much
It
damage.
would have been better if it stayed
But
there
then it
because
could fly
the
through.
bat would have come on and gone, oh, there's a tasty meal.
Yeah.
All right, we're just going to go back and I'm just going to run you through some more bat facts and the likes and then show you some of the equipment that I use for monitoring bats. And everyone, have you seen the flying foxes flying around Melbourne? Have they not? Oh, is that mine on? No. You haven't seen the flying foxes?
No.
Oh, good. I thought I was pointing it in people's faces. So yeah, the flying foxes, they're fruit eaters. They will eat, you know, insects a little bit, but they're predominantly fruit eaters and pollen. So they're called the megabats. And they, you can see why they're megabats, you know, the wing size of that. So my speciality is the microbats. So we're talking about the little bats. And the microbats eat insects for the main part, but as there are exceptions to the rule, like that ghost bat in northern Australia will eat other bats. And there's also a bat along the east coast of Australia as well that eats insects, but if it gets caught in a bag with other bats, it'll make the most of that opportunity and give itself a feed as well. So, can everyone see that there?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the basic anatomy of a bat. So I might have to get you to
Want me to go?
do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be easier.
How's that?
Is that better?
Yeah.
So, if you have a look, there's the bat. It's like a half picture, and it's like that. What do you reckon? I'll ask the little people in front here. What do you reckon that looks like? Does that look a bit like?
a tear bat. Oh, it looks like a hand. But
It
like
does.
web.
It is a hand. So all it is, if you see those lines, that's the fingers, and there's a little bit up the top there. That's its thumb. So essentially, it's exactly the same as our hand, except it's adapted and got that membrane that's thrown in between. So this group of bats are called Chiroptera, and it's Greek, and the meaning of it is Chiro is hand, and the ptera is wing. So hand wing. So Microchiroptera bat, it means hand wing. So that's the first step, you know. Now, does anyone think, do you reckon they belong to the mouse family or rats or something like that?
Maybe the small one.
A lot of people do think that they're somehow related to mice and things like that. They're not. So they're all out there on their own. Bats have no close relationship to actual mice or rats. So worldwide there's around about, I think last count, around about 1,500 species of bats. So in terms of the mammals, other than some other groups, they've got the highest concentration of individual species. And there's a cave in Texas, in America, and there's a bat there called a Brazilian free-tail bat, and it's the highest concentration of mammals anywhere in the world, and they can get 15 million bats flying out of that cave.
Wow.
And if you look online, it's called Bracken Cave, you can go online and they've got cameras there. So when it's night time there, you can actually watch the bats flying out. And typically it takes 2 to 3 hours for this 15 or so million bats to fly out. And waiting outside are all these birds of prey that dive through and grab bats as they're coming out. Because a lot of them come out quite early because it takes so long to get out. So yep, so a bat hand wing. So virtually that's it with extended little fingers that come out. Now, why do you reckon that one's called a free-tail bat?
Its tail isn't, it doesn't have like the flappy bit on it, it's just straight.
And we can see there that the tail comes past the tail membrane, doesn't it? So we've got the free-tail bats. Then we've got this bat here where the actual tail's fully enclosed, and they're called the night bats or the vespers. And then this bat here, it's sort of a bit of a combination of both, isn't it? It's got a short little tail there, but see there's a little slit going across the tail membrane. So from that first part, from its bottom to there, that tail is enclosed in the membrane, and then there's a split, and then that part of the tail there is like that's free tail. So that one's called a sheep tail bat. So they're the three types of microbats that we get here in Victoria and virtually right across Australia. So we've got those sort of three groups that we can help for identification. So that's their tails. Now, if bats are flying in the night, this is one for the little people. You're looking a bit tired, aren't you? Rubbing his eyes. If bats are flying around at night, how do you think they're navigating? Does anyone have a guess? Echolocation. Does anyone know what echolocation is? Effectively, it's like sonar. It's like radar, for want of a better word, except they're using their voice. So in this case, they're using their voice. There's their little moth there. So they've sent out their signal. It hits the moth there, and the moth's reflection in a sound sense, and even the wing beat frequency, the bat picks that up, and it doesn't have to think about it. It just sends out the signal, it comes back, and it knows exactly where that insect is flying in space. So it can fly at that insect and intercept it. Now, if it's going to catch an insect, how do you reckon it would catch it? Would it use its mouth? Or its claws? Very close. And actually, if we go back to our picture here again, with that tail membrane, they actually use their tail membrane like a baseball mitt. So they'll go flying along, they've discovered the bug, they bring their tail around, catch it and bring it up to their mouth and eat it while they're on the wing and continue on and then go chasing the next one.
So they bring it to their mouth with their hand or with the tail?
With the tail membrane, yeah. So they're still flying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do see where they might catch it in the wing there and bring it around, but they don't use their mouth as such because they're echolocating, and it makes it a lot easier if you've got like a glove, for want of a better word, to actually bring it up into your actual mouth.
And are some of the tails more effective than others? Or?
Well, there's all sorts of theories as to why you've got the different types of tails. You would think with the tails that are enclosed, if you think about them as an aeroplane or something like that, that would help them in terms of their manoeuvrability. These two bats here, which I'll talk about soon, you can see they don't have the same extent of tail membrane, which means they're probably not as manoeuvrable, and that tends to be the case. These two groups here tend to be faster flying species. So the other thing is, as I say, they can pick up where the insect is at space and know where to intercept it. And they use Doppler shift, which is, you know, when you hear a siren coming towards you, how the pitch goes up, the pitch gets higher, and they're all echolocated with the same frequency or the same repetition rate. They'd all be competing with each other for insects, which wouldn't be good. So what you've got with those bats that have the different tail membranes and the like. So if we look here, we've got these bats that fly up over the canopy, so they have a lower frequency, and they need that lower frequency because it throws out further, because they're flying so fast. They need to have a lower frequency to throw it out further to pick up their prey. If they had a higher frequency, they'd be flying past their prey before they had the chance to catch it. And then you've got these species that go just over the top of the canopy, and that's the free-tail bats. So those free-tail bats, they're fast flying as well. They don't quite have as low a frequency as this one that flies higher, and I'm hopeful that this bat that flies up quite high has a frequency of 10 kilohertz, which is within our hearing range. So we don't need a bat detector or any tools like that to hear it. We should be able to hear it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we might hear one of those tonight. So they're a bigger fast flying. These ones are smaller but still fast flying, not very manoeuvrable, so they need it to be above the canopy. And then we've got these other bats that just fly just underneath the canopy. So we're getting under the vegetation, they're flying up through there. Then we've got this other bat, which is called a gleaning bat, that flies lower, and it actually plucks insects off leaves and even can come to the ground and pluck insects off the leaves. So once again, that has what's called a frequency modulated call. So it's virtually, it has a frequency from 75 kilohertz right down to 35. So it's picking up as much information as it can in between. But they also have short, broad wings, which allows them to hover. So they can fly up to you and look at your face and just hover in one spot. Whereas all the other bats have to keep flying forward. And then lastly, we've got this other bat down here in the yellow here, which is a specialist bat, which is the bat that we get here foraging over the water. And it's called a large-footed myotis. Why do you think it's called large-footed?
Because it has large feet.
It does, and I'll show you how out of proportion its feet are. And it's got very long claws. And that's a specialist bat. So it lives within 150 metres of a waterway. It will take insects and small fish off the surface of the water. So fingers crossed, you used to be able to come here prior to them doing the remedial work. You could use the spotlight and you could watch them flying about 6 inches above the water and then darting down with their claws, picking up an insect or small fish. So they're an absolute specialist. So they do live in tree hollows, but they also use that overflow tunnel as well. They like the overflow tunnel. So we've got about 85 species here in Australia. Not all of them use the same strategy, otherwise they'd all be competing with each other. So they all have these different strategies, so they're not competing with each other. So like I said, we've got the fast flying well above the canopy. So for an obvious reason, that one's called a white striped free-tail bat. So they've got, no one knows why, what the benefit of it is. So under their armpit, they've got these white stripes there. And they're a large bat, but as far as bats go, you know, they can get up into the 25, 30 grams, which is big for a bat. So they're a fast flying bat, and they used to be called mastiff bats because their face looks like mastiff dogs. They've got a really, really cute face. And interesting, for such a big bat, they're not the ones you've got to worry about trying to bite you as much. It's the little bats. The little bats suffer from little dog syndrome, like my little Jack Russell that wants to yappy, yappy, yappy and trying to have a nibble at everyone. And there's a picture. So with the bat detector, have we picked up anything yet, Steve? Oh, yeah. So we've got a piece of equipment which I'll show you soon, and we'll use over the water and over. Oh, the light's not on. I thought that light was down. So I've got a piece of equipment there, a bat detector. So as well as catching bats, I can use a bat detector, and that's time across the bottom, and that's frequency going up there, and that's the bat call there. See those 3 pulses there? So that's at 10 kilohertz. So that's that bat that has to project its voice out a long way because it's flying so fast, and it's picking up moths and bugs, bigger insects. So remember that other picture, the bats that fly just above the canopy? That's this one here, the free-tail bats. And if we have a look at the frequency here in this hertz, not down at 10 kilohertz. So the actual frequency tells you something about the size of the insect as well. So that bat that calls at 10 kilohertz, effectively it's going after bugs that are at 32 millimetres or thereabouts in size. This one here is going for slightly smaller bugs, so they're not competing with each other.